I know that. Come here.
So, Daddy, where are your pink cheeks?
Hey,
Where your pink cheeks are.
if you're gonna, do you want to stay? You want to stay? Gotta sit with Dad. Okay. Yes. What? Okay. Do you want? Don't put it forward. Do you want to stay, or do you want to go home and watch TV?
Maybe over here.
Okay. It's not, it's either Officer Bill was worried, and I'm not gonna be there.
No, it's either Ben or Ian. Try to do this one.
Real mix.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
I forgot to bring the book. I'll do it another time. Or I'll try and have a box or something. Okay, I don't know. I'll try to remember next time I leave it for you.
I just saw it here. No, thank you. Because actually, I don't have it in here, but I have it in
So how was, yeah, did we go to the first sister box?
Okay. What just happened?
Oh, it's in here. Okay, it's in there. I didn't shake hands. Still.
Shabbat Shalom. So as we're making our way into the sanctuary, there are these little pots underneath your seats, and they already have dirt in them. So just to be aware of them, that tonight we're honoring Shabbat and the holiday of Tu B'Shvat, the birthday of the trees. And look how cool this is. This little thing here is a piece of the children made their own paper, and they put seeds in it for parsley and something else that makes parsley grow. I don't remember what it is. And so when you get home, you can plant it and take it home, and it takes 40 days, and it'll germinate and flower by the time you have Passover. So to think about that. So just don't knock it over if you can help it, because you need it for later. Yeah, we'll discuss it in a minute, but I just want to make sure your last week has been like. The highs, the lows, what you like to carry with you into the Sabbath, and what you'd like to leave behind. If there's something in your life that you'd like to bring into the space, we'd love to hear it. Go ahead, Marion.
Our youngest granddaughter, who's completing her senior year this year, was just accepted to her first choice college.
Hey. Clemson University.
And with scholarship, and all through high school, all 4 years, she took all AP classes, and she has a 4.7.
Whoa, okay, so I'm going to replay this. So their youngest granddaughter just accepted her first choice college with scholarship to Clemson University, and she's graduating with a 4.7 GPA. So, underachiever, yeah, that's amazing. What else? What else is happening in your life?
After her grandfather.
Yeah.
Or somebody.
Yes, Debbie.
The three of us, John and, well, John Brewer and his order, and Janet and I went to the Esquire last night to see the 5 documentary shorts during the Jewish Film Festival.
Oh, nice.
And it was an amazing experience to see these young people who actually created so many of the documents.
I'm just gonna repeat that into the microphone that they went and saw the 5 documentary shorts for the Jewish Film Festival, and it was amazing to see young people creating these documentaries. What else? Go ahead. You have something, Margot? No? Okay, just hi. Great. So in the energy of welcoming in Shabbat, we welcome the people in our community here. We know it's been a really busy week in our congregation. I thank all of you for the many different meet and greets we had for our prospective associate rabbis. So hopefully we'll be making some choices and announcements soon on that. So thank you for that. And if there are guests in the room that would like to introduce themselves, we'd like to know who you are. And if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do that either. Go ahead.
My name's Al. This is Morgan. And I'm glad to be here with you guys tonight. So.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? Yes. Yeah, good.
My name is Michael Binder, and this is my first time here. My wife Elise, and my parents-in-law, and my children, Aaron and Helen.
Great. We're welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And at the same time, we want to welcome our online community that even though you're not part of a physical space, that does mean you don't get a little potted plants from us, but we're glad that you're choosing to rejoice with us and celebrate with us. This will not be a typical Shabbat service, so just get ready for that as we Tu B'Shvat is honored the same way Passover is with the Seder. So that's what the food is, and there's different drinks, and so we'll just need helpers to sort of make that happen. And the kids will be as the kids are, and it'll be a wonderful, crazy mess, and so it's going to be perfect that way. So with that energy, we'd like to welcome Shabbat with the blessing of the candles. You don't need a book tonight, but if you want a book, that's fine. And that's on page 2 and 3, and Jan's going to lead us.
Do I like first and then say? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lechadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who sanctified us with thy commandments and commanded us to light the Sabbath lights. Amen.
We continue welcoming Shabbat with Ki Eshmera Shabbat, how joyful it is to be watched over and to connect with the glory of Shabbat. Continue with La Yehudim. If you're in the prayer book, it's 336. This is the last line of the book of Esther. We're getting ready for Purim, and it's that even if the world isn't perfect, that at a time of tragedy and grief, the Jews still enjoyed and received joy, and so may it be true for us as well. La structure of the Tu B'Shvat Seder, there's a structure to all Seder. Seder means order, is slightly different than the Passover Seder in that it's supposed to correspond in a few different ways. One, it's to correspond with the seasons. So we start with white wine, and then we're supposed to go from winter and then onward so that increasingly color enters our lives and the brightness comes forward. So you can't just go from darkness to light. It's a journey towards that. And then it's mapping the Kabbalistic, the mystical sensation of these four worlds. So we have Asiya, Yetzirah, Birah, and Atzilut. Those are, it's coming from sort of 13th century theology that we need more than just doctrine and liturgy. We need to be engaging into our internal selves, and how does that spiritually match? And then they want us to work with our senses. So taste is a really big thing. So that's what it's not because we think it's boring, you need snacks. That each of these has a different purpose. And so we'll go through it, that each of these little treats have a way of connecting to the universe and embodying that what we think about, what we feel about, what our soul is connecting to is also connecting to our spirit and the way we're nourishing our body. So we'll be moving through these things as we go through it and weaving in the Shabbat liturgy as part of it. So the first thing we do, we're just going to have to pass out this first cup. And I'm going to read this as we pass it out. If we can have some helpers to pass out the white. It's juice, right? It's juice. It's all juice. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. The first cup of wine, all in white, represents winter. All in white, we are reminded both of purity of heart and possibility. All white also reminds us of loneliness, austerity, and the opportunity of starting again. The mystics connect this first cup of wine with the world of Asiya, of action. This is a realm of perfection and requires protection. We eat fruits and nuts that have a hard shell on the outside as a symbol that we need protection from the external elements. We consider also about the times we project a hard outer shell to the external world, but are truly soft and sensitive on the inside. So the first step to this is to bless the wine, this whiteness, this purity, and understand that, and you're going to pick something that has a hard shell and is a soft inside when we get to that point. If you have your wine, do we all have our wine yet? Our juice? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. You can drink. And so, as you're thinking about this and you're drinking, you're going to have to chug these because there's so many of them coming. To think about the questions, thank you, that this season is asking us. That how we protect ourselves, the elements, what are the hard shells that we produce on the outside, and are we being served by these things? So here's some questions up on here to think about as you're drinking and thinking. The next part of honoring this moment is to choose a fruit with a hard outer shell and an inner soft core. So you can have a pomegranate, a walnut, an almond, a coconut, a pistachio, a chestnut, a hazelnut, a Brazil nut, or a pecan. So figure out which one of these is that. Micah, do you have one? A bag?
We're going to say a blessing in a sec.
Yeah, find your way through it. Rabbi Eliezer ben Azira, a Talmudic sage of the 1st century, said, "Anytime our wisdom exceeds our good deeds, to what are we likened? To a tree whose branches are numerous but whose roots are few. Then the wind comes and uproots it and turns it upside down. But when our good deeds exceed our wisdom, to what are we likened? To a tree whose branches are few but whose roots are numerous. Even if all the winds of the world were to come and blow against it, they could not budge it from its place. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri ha'etz." So as you munch on your hard outer shell and your inner soft shell, we'll continue welcoming Shabbat with Lech Adodi. Oops, sorry. Did I not do this? can just do the one-liner. We rise together for Baruch Hu, our call to worship. Please be seated. I'm just going to read this. This is the Song of Builders by Mary Oliver. On a summer morning, I sat down on a hillside to think about God, a worthy pastime. Near me, I saw a single cricket. It was moving grains of the hillside this way and that way. How great was its energy, how humble its effort. Let us hope it will always be like this, each of us going on in our inexplicable ways, building the universe. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. Page 36. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol lebavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha mishinatan levanecha v'dibarta bam B'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha havatarech, uvshochbecha v'kumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, l'mahan tizkaru, V'asitam kol mitzvotai, v'hitam kedoshim lo'echem, ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti echem, me'eretz Mitzrayim, li'yot lachem l'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, amen. So we're now on our second cup of wine. It's going to be white wine or white juice with a splash of red. Our second cup is a glass full of white wine with a drop of red. It symbolizes spring, the promise of change and blossoming. We talk of things unearthed and coming out into the world, like hidden feelings emerging. The mystics link this cup with the world of Yetzirah, formation and creation. We eat a fruit with no shell, but with a hard center, thinking of the ways in which we project a soft outside but truly have a hard center. We symbolically remove our shelves and open up to those around us. However, we also acknowledge that opening up does not come easily, and our most sensitive spirit remains protected. The date palm abounds in blessing, for every part of it can be used, every part is needed. Its dates are for eating, its branches are for blessing on Sukkot, its fronds are for thatching, its fibers are for ropes, its webbing for sieves, its thick trunks for building. The date reminds us of the commandment, Ba'al Tashlich, to not waste. And you can just drink that, you don't need a second blessing. And I have some questions up here to think about. We drink white wine with a dash of red, reminding us of early spring, when the thawing from winter begins in earnest. We find deep feelings hidden within, like the fruit with pits inside. So we choose a fruit with pits inside, so you're going to have a date, a peach, an olive, a cherry, apricot, or plum. What's the date? And you can eat that. Oh, we're still eating. Still eating. See, shouldn't all, thank you, shouldn't all services have snacks? Yes. Right? Next will be popcorn and chocolate. So with our heart shells exposed, with our hearts coming forward, we continue with Micha Mocha, acknowledging the miracles that are bound within our lives. We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching. Marching, marching, ooh, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, 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 ooh, we are marching in the light of God. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, micha mocha ne'etar b'kodesh. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, micha mocha ne'etar b'kodesh. Nora, Tehilot, oh say, Felem. Nora, Tehilot, oh say, Felem. We continue with Vishamru, the joy of passing, the joy of Shabbat from one generation to the next, just as we do this evening. Vishamru. Bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. berit olam. Vayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We're now at our third cup, the cup fast removing. So now the third cup is made of half white and half red. We imagine that the trees are full and blooming and no longer in need of protective shells or hard centers. We open ourselves to full joy of summer and the importance of the pursuit of knowledge. The world associated with the third cup is Bari'ah, knowledge and creation. We focus on the holiness of intellect. When you get yours, you can drink it. Thank you, Diamond. Appreciate it. It's okay. There's towels right here. Totally, we were prepared for that. Let's just carve it. I got it. Thank you.
Sorry, I just saw an empty cup.
The carob has a special place in Jewish life. During the war with Rome, the Israelites lived under a siege and managed to survive by eating the fruit of the carob tree. The Hebrew words for carob, charuv, sword, charev, and destruction, chorban, have a similar linguistic root. The carob is even sword-shaped. It reminds us to temper even this joyous occasion with the remembrance of suffering throughout the world. We are reminded of summer and finding joy and comfort in the discovery of new knowledge. And we choose a carob, strawberry, a fig, apple, raisin, grape, pear, quince, mango, or berry to indulge in this particular part of this. Is that, yes, the chocolatey thing. So now everything in your bag is fair game. Okay. So as you nourish yourself with chocolates, as we are wont to do, we continue with our prayer for abundance and peace and possibility. Shalom Rav. If you have a prayer book, it's page 60, but it's also up here. Sorry, Mark, I'm just like going. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Ki Hatahu Melech Adon L'chol HaShalom. Ki Hatahu Melech Adon L'chol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasiyim Leolam. Tasiyim Leolam. Tasiyim Leolam. You know, the majority of our prayers are aspirational in that we are wanting something, hoping for something, imagining something. And Shalom Rav is saying, this is what we think the world should be like. That's what that prayer is about a whole united world. And then at the healing prayer, Misha Berach, has a really opposite way of looking at the same issue. It's aspirational, but through the lens of brokenness and imperfection and need. And so one is about hoping of a perfect world, and this one is saying, I need to be in with the people. So it's a different kind of prayer. It's been a really hard week in our country. It's been divisive and difficult, and for all different party types and politics and all those different things. So for me, as I think about what is our country, what could it be, that's the Shalom Rav prayer. What is abundance, peace, wholeness, connection, communication look like? And then where are all these broken parts that we need to work on, both as individuals, communities, and as a country? So this prayer that we're going to say for healing is for all of those things. A prayer for strength, for healing, for physical body, for emotional space, for the courage to have difficult conversations, to the part of us that still needs to hope that the world can be different, that our bodies could be different, that our connections with people our love we can be different. So in that spirit and energy, we bring into our prayer space those who are in hospital beds and nursing facilities and in rehab units. We think about those who are in their own homes, those struggling with deep grief, addiction, difficult decisions ahead of them. And we also include in those prayers all those who remind us that healing is possible, of doctors and nurses and therapists and pharmacists and friends and families and caregivers. If you have someone that you'd like to mention who's in need of healing or your own name, please share those names now.
Patty Wall, 50 Barrett Trail.
Barbara Horowitz, Barbara Golden.
Excuse me.
Alondra Johnson. Bob Rubin, Nancy Stella, Meredith Clapp, and Sharon Schlesinger.
Teresa.
Phyllis Hexton.
Judy Avner, Jackson Bachman, Mira Barner, Corinne Belford, Sheila Boniface, Diane Hauser, Loretta Hubbard, Chava Leah, Leonard Appel, Phyllis Epstein, Ken Goldman, Dr. Merrill Goldman, Jerry Goodwin, Charles Gutman, Judith Gutman, Ethan Kadish, Gita Knudsen, Skylar Kuntz, Yael Kraus, Lee Krinick, Elaine Heightfield, Tony Janitas, Ira Lerner, Grayson Malkin, Jean-Marcel Lefebvre, Lou Levy, Joan Lieb, Barry Levy, Marcy Maxwell, Ellie Mendelson, Rhoda Meyer, Barb Paris, Nancy Newmark, Phil Ryan, David Rose, Bob Rubin, Ira Sham, Archbishop Chuck Smith, Mary Capoletti Stanton, Lisa Steele, Fran Sternberg, Mehea Stoneman, Patty Waltz, Chaim Ben Yaakov and Nechama, Chava Nasiya Chaya Yisraela. We include everyone we mentioned out loud and those we hold in our hearts and all of us in this room as well on a journey towards healing in some way. We continue with our prayer for healing. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We take a few words of prayer and silence. Okay, you have your little pot. You don't have to do this right now, but if you want to, you can. Which is that part of this holiday, and this is why we just try to make it easy this time, that you can break it off if you want. This recycled paper made by little children, and dip it in about a half of a fingerful, so like just your first knuckle, and then to cover back up with the dirt. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. And then when you get home, you're just gonna, Walter, where are you? You don't put very much water in, right? Just enough to get it damp. And I like doing this in community because it's fun to watch you get dirty. And I also feel like this is really symbolic of what most of us go through at some point in our lives. It also tends to happen more likely in the winter when things are cold and bleak and rainy and muggy and the government's a mess. That to think that all we see is just ground, is just nothingness. And in fact, it's rich and vibrant in ways that we can't yet see. And that part of us, our job of coming together in community, even when we're exhausted, even when we're not feeling it, even when we don't know really what to do, is to say, well, even if I'm not feeling hopeful or joyful, I believe that in time I might be. And there was this article going around, my mom sent it to me, but I saw it all over Facebook, about radical hope. Do you know what I'm talking about? So I pulled this quote from him. He said, "Don't lose hope, be a fanatical optimist instead." And he was talking about sort of the impeachment and things like that, and sort of what does it mean for all the different sides. But he had this line, and I was like, ooh, that feels a little bit Jewish. And I don't think he is. He wrote, "Faith may seem like an old-fashioned word, but the only way to battle nihilism, which is the belief in nothing, is the belief in something. In this climate of calculated cynicism, a cynicism designed to make us feel hopeless, we need to be fanatical in our optimism, in our belief that we can become the subjects of history again, not just the objects." It's powerful, right? It's very powerful. And the reason it felt Jewish to me is back to the Seder thing, that we have 4 New Years in our tradition, 4 times of resetting. There's 40 days, beginning again, that there isn't this assumption that we never change. The assumption is we get strong, we make resolutions, we're good, and then like 4 days later, we're like, all right, we're out. And about lots of different things. And so quarterly, we're reminded that it's not all bleak. That and we do it through alcohol often, but today we did it through sugars, right? So there's these ways of sort of connecting and building and saying, I don't think that we're people that can keep the faith all of the time. But sometimes it's just about believing in the possibility of faith, the possibility of hope. And so I love this idea of being a radical, fanatical optimist and trying to lean into that, and that is a practice of faith and belonging in religion. So with that, just a thank you. Jan, I don't have you in there because I didn't know. So thank you to Jan for lighting the candle so beautifully. To Dr. Bailey, always, for lifting us in song. John, for being our usher tonight. Joyce, you're about to come up and do some announcements. And Micah, thank you for being sound and streaming and all the things you do. And also, Marta spent all this time, and Julie, pouring all these little cups of wine and juice and putting all these planters underneath, and to the children who made the seeds. And if you're online and you're not here today, we have some extras, so you can come in and we'll give you some too. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of parsley coming forward. So with that, I welcome Joyce up to share some brief announcements and the prayer. I have it in.
Shabbat Shalom. There are plenty of announcements, but the special ones are the next Friday, the Blue Shabbat, guest artist Jay Tucker and Dr. Mark Bailey. Oneg at 6, services at 6:30. Temple Shalom meetup for ages 25 to 50 at the Fowling, correct? Fowling, right? Foaling? Foaling.
Football bowling.
Oh, Foaling Warehouse in Cincinnati. Join us for a fun adult evening of foaling, bowling with footballs. Saturday the 15th, 6 to 9, RSV on the website. Recreate Passover, an interactive, mind-blowingly creative educational opportunity for people who want to create a transformational Passover practice for themselves on Feb 23, 1 to 5 here. Taught by teachers from Judaism Unbound. Space is limited, RSVP immediately. Mishloach Mano, the Purim baskets are available to order through the website. The mailed form came out if you didn't get it already. And please respond by the 21st to let us know what your wishes are.
Beautiful.
Prayer. Okay, please join me in saying the prayer for our community. May Adonai, the source of life, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire congregation of Temple Sholem, together with the synagogues in Cincinnati and all holy congregations in this world. Bless our community, our children, our families, and all that is theirs, along with those who unite to establish synagogues for prayer and those who enter them to pray, those who devote countless hours of their lives so our synagogue may be a thriving place of spiritual welcoming. May the Holy One reward those who contribute to our community with healing, forgiveness, and personal strength. May God bless them by prospering all their worthy endeavors, as well as those of the entire people Israel. And let us say, Amen.
Thanks, Joyce. All right, here's our 4th cup of wine. It's our last cup of wine. We drink red wine and eat no fruit, for this world cannot be represented by any fruit. The pure red wine represents the full bloom of nature before the cold winter. As nature expends its last bit of energy, a full cycle is completed. The world we focus on is Atzilut, purity of spirit and nobility. Rav Avraham Yitzchak Kook, chief Ashkenazic rabbi of Pre-State Israel and a leading 20th century thinker, expresses this idea compellingly. If you are amazed at how it is possible to speak, hear, smell, touch, see, understand, and feel, tell your soul that all living things collectively confer upon you the fullness of your experience. Not the least speck of existence is superfluous. Everything is needed, and everything serves its purpose. You are present within everything that is beneath you, and your being is bound up with all that transcends you. Go ahead and drink. As we have passed through each world, we have changed with each season. We began by cracking open the protective shell of winter, allowing our inner sparks to engage the world through Tikkun Olam. We then found a pit deep within, an ego, feelings. We came to a place where there was no distinction between the protected and the protective, knowledge of the interdependence of all things. And finally, we become aware of God's love, mercy, wisdom, and other realities perceived with our hearts, not our senses. Our hearts are full and we praise the source, which renews all of creation. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding, loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace. Sorry, didn't have this ready. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Tonight, we remember the recent passing of Jack Simon, beloved friends of the Anka. Devorah Weinberger, aunt of Barb Paris. Arnold Applebaum, brother of Phyllis Fine. Paul Kolbach, brother of Marion Rubin. And Ray-Jean Luzberg, my aunt. And we can remember the yard sites, the anniversary of the passing of Adele Laber-Waldman, Larry Schwartz, Herbert Glazer, Sarah Glazer, Carl Gelfgott, William Arm, Casilda Reed Miller, Hope Bard, Lillian Hyman Lerner, Beatrice Schonenweiss, Sam Grossman, Erwin Eskovitz, Sam Miller, Werner Friedman, Emma Faye Arnold, Gussie Whitman, Solomon Reich, Deborah Sue Wick, and Frank Stapleton. If there are other names, people remembering that you would like to share, please bring those names into the space now. If you are mourning or commemorating yard sites, please rise first. We acknowledge you, and we see you, and we rise together to join you in comfort and concern and love, praying our words of affirmation, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 294. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, Yalma divrach yirete v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chaye echon uv'yom echon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'zman kari v'imru. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei Kedusha, Le'ela min kol berachata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiram be'alma v'imru. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, imru. Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be a blessing. Please be seated. We're not doing any of that. It's not here. So we'll conclude. We'll go back to the song we introduced with of celebrating the joy of what's our possibility. Yehudim hayta ora, hayta ora, vesimcha vesason vikar. Yehudim hayta ora, vesimcha vesason vikar. Tilonu, tilonu, tilonu. Kin tilonu, tilonu, tilonu. Yehudim hayta ora, vesimcha vesason vikar. Yehudim hayta ora, vesimcha vesason vikar. Before we go to our motzi and to our kiddush, we're going to bless each other, but I wanted to tell you one thing that happened to me today that I forgot to tell you about, which was that I had a wedding today at 10 a.m. in the snow in Sharon Woods. Isn't that cool? It was very cold. And what was special about it, there was lots of things that were special about it, but one of the things was the people getting married. She had been diagnosed with cancer last December, and this was the year anniversary of finishing her first chemo. And that when she was back in that place, she never could have known that a year later she would be getting married in the middle of an Ohio mini snow. And that they have different stages to this wedding process, but that this family has chosen that every moment that was to be celebrated, they were going to celebrate it. And everyone's going to come in, they're going to do these things. And it was such a good reminder of not to let those small moments pass us by, and how do we get awakened to what is still beautiful in the world. And that when she looked out and she saw snow, she didn't think, oh man, there's going to be salt all over my car, and my dress is going to get ruined and all this crap. She just looked at it and said, oh, that's so beautiful. My pictures are going to be awesome. And so I just wanted to share that was such a beautiful thing, and to take that with you into this blessing. So if you're comfortable, you can connect with people around you. If you are not a toucher, just say, I'm not a toucher, it's flu season. If you are online, just put your hands out. Whatever it feels like to feel a blessing moment, to celebrate the moment that you are in now. Adonai ve'yishmarecha, ya'er Adonai p'nave lecha v'yichunecha, yisa Adonai p'nave v'yasem lecha shalom, 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 v'yasem lecha shalom, shalom, v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May Adonai's face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And when God's face shine upon you, may it remind you that you are smart and courageous and that the world needs you exactly as you are. And together we say, Shabbat Shalom.